Hi everyone, I'm Melissa with Tulsa Regional STEM Alliance, and today I'm going to show you how to do the Aeronautical Engineering STEM in a Bag activity. So this is part one of the activity, which is making an airfoil. You're going to need a piece of cardstock, some string, a straw, scissors, ruler, and a pencil. And you're also going to need either a fan or a hair dryer. So let's take a closer look. Okay, so I have my piece of cardstock that I've already cut into a 10 by 15 centimeter rectangle, or about a 4 by 6 rectangle. And now I'm going to make an airfoil. It's a good idea to make more than one of these so that you can try different sizes of airfoils. So I also have a second piece of cardstock that I'm going to make into a second airfoil. So the first thing that we want to do is going along the shorter end of your rectangle, we're going to measure in 1 centimeter, and then we're going to make a little mark with the pencil. And then I'm going to draw a line all the way across this piece of paper at 1 centimeter. So I'm actually going to make a couple of marks at 1 centimeter along the edge of my paper. This just helps me make sure that I get a nice straight line. And so then I'm going to make a line all the way across my paper. This is going to help me make sure I get the edge of my airfoil nice and straight. Now I'm going to fold the piece of paper to that line. Okay, so I have the edge of my cardstock lined up with that pencil line that I drew, and then I'm going to give it a nice crease. Okay. Now this part can be a little tricky. We actually want to put a curve in the side of the airfoil. So in order to do that, I'm going to flip this over to where the longer piece is on top. And then I'm going to push those edges together. So see, when I've pushed those edges together like that, that actually creates a little curve in the top of the paper. That's what's going to create lift. So now I want to tape this in place. Okay, so I'm going to get a piece of tape. And I want to tape those ends so that they are flush together, just like that. And then I have a nice curve to my airfoil. You can add a little extra tape if you need to make sure this is nice and secure. Now with my other sheet of cardstock, I'm going to make a bigger airfoil. So the first one I measured at 1 centimeter. This one I'm going to move into 3 centimeters. So same as before, I'm going to make a little mark on my paper, and I'm actually going to make a couple of marks on my paper at 3 centimeters. That way I make sure I get that line all the way across at 3 centimeters. Okay, and then I'm going to draw my line here. So same as before, I'm going to fold this piece of paper with the edge lining up to that pencil line that I've drawn. And I'm going to give it a nice good crease. Now you can see I have a much bigger flap here. Now when I push those ends together, like that, you can see that curve is quite a bit bigger. Okay, so the shape of my airfoil is very, very different. And we're going to see what difference that causes in lift. All right, so same as before, I'm going to tape the edge of this. And there I have 2 airfoils. So the next step is I need to make a device that will allow my airfoil to float so that I can see the force of lift in action. So I'm going to take my straw and I'm going to cut it in 2. Now I'm using a flexible straw, which is fine, but I want to cut that flexible part off. So I'm going to use my scissors and just cut that part off. Now this piece of my straw I'm going to cut in half. And if it's not perfectly in half, that's okay. It doesn't really matter for this part. All right, so now I'm going to poke a hole in my airfoil. And I'm going to poke 2 holes actually right on the edge of each side of this airfoil. And I'm in my craft room today, so I'm going to be using this tool. This is actually for poking holes in paper, but if you don't have one of these tools, that's fine. You can use a sharpened pencil, a pin, a pair of scissors, anything like that. Okay, so I'm going to put a hole in my airfoil about right there and about right there. This tool is nice because it is very easy to just poke a hole right through that piece of paper. But like I said, you don't have to have one of these tools. Make sure you use caution on this part so that you don't hurt yourself. And we're actually wanting to go all the way through the airfoil. So once I get a hole on one side, I'm going to poke straight through the top of the airfoil as well. Okay, so all the way through there. And then I'm going to use a pencil to widen that hole so that I can get the straw in. Okay, so I'm just widening that hole up on both sides. And it's okay if it's not pretty. It doesn't have to be. And so now I'm going to poke my straw through those holes that I've created. So just like that. Okay, and now I'm going to use my string and I'm going to thread the string through each of those straws. Just like that. There. Now my airfoil is able to move along the string. See how it moves nice and easy? So now I'm going to tape the string to the table and to the floor. So now I have my string suspended and you can see that it's nice and tight. And I have my airfoil threaded through that. So I have the straws through the airfoil and then the string through the straws. And that allows my airfoil to float up and down nice and easy. So I'm going to hold my airfoil just to keep it elevated. And then I'm going to take my hair dryer and I'm going to aim it directly at that curved edge of the airfoil. And then I'm going to let go of the airfoil and we'll see what happens. So now you try it. And remember to try different shapes of airfoils because they might fly differently.